Hey there and welcome back to Mass Effect 2. My name is Pete and today we complete a major plot mission in this walkthrough, one that will take us to a location that we've never seen before, and one that will feature several firefights that are considered to be among the hardest in the game. As I mentioned last time, after we completed our mission on Horizon, a hidden 5-mission countdown was initiated, and with the completion of the 5th mission in the last episode, we have now reached another point in the game where we have no other choice but to take on the mission that is given to us. And to do that, we need to speak to the Illusive Man. However, once again, we will have a quick conversation with Kelly Chambers first.
I noticed the fish tank up in your cabin. If you'd like, I could feed your fish while you're away.
After we had dinner with her, Kelly now offers to feed the fish in between missions, and that is without a doubt a very helpful proposal, one that we will gladly accept.
I'd appreciate that, Kelly.
It's my pleasure. Anyway, what's up?
That'll be all.
Good luck out there, Shepard.
So, this might actually be one of the better achievements in this playthrough. Of course, we don't unlock anything for it, but it removes a bit of tediousness and lets us focus more on what actually matters. Speaking of which, let's see what the Illusive Man has for us.
Passing the Illusive Man through, Commander.
Shepard, we caught a break. I intercepted a distress call from a Turian patrol. They stumbled onto a collector ship beyond the Corliss system. The Turians were wiped out, but not before they crippled the collector vessel. I need you to board that ship and get some hard data on the collectors. Find us a way to get to their homeworld.
Alright, we have several questions here, and we'll start with the most obvious one. How the hell were the Turians able to disable an entire collector ship?
Hard to imagine how a Turian patrol could take out a collector ship.
Reports indicate the hull's intact, but all systems seem to be offline. They could be making repairs as we speak. I'm not saying it won't be dangerous, but we can't let an opportunity like this slip by.
So, if the ship is pretty much presented to us on a silver platter, then why aren't the Turians investigating themselves? This does indeed seem like a wasted opportunity.
If they had a patrol out there, why aren't the Turians sending a recon team in?
They will, eventually. But I intercepted the transmissions. In the meantime, we're feeding them false reports. You're close enough that you can be in and out before the Turians learn the truth.
Alright, I will admit this all sounds a bit strange and it also comes more or less out of nowhere, so let's make sure that we're not missing anything.
Are you sure this information is good?
Information is my weapon, Shepard. It's good.
Okay then, you can see it here, we really have no other option but to investigate that ship, so we might as well get on with it.
Send me the coordinates and I'll take care of it.
Already sent. Once you're aboard the ship, establish an uplink with Edie. She'll mine their data for information regarding the Omega-4 relay. Good luck, Shepard.
Coordinates punched in. Let's go find us a collector ship.
Now, without spoiling too much, it is very useful to have access to as many warps as you can get on this mission, and for that reason we are taking Miranda and Thane with us, who also give us a nice combat variety with their weaponry. We will skip the ability screens as we don't have enough points for the proper abilities with anyone in the squad, so let's continue with weapon selection. We'll leave almost everything as it is, but we'll switch the missile launcher back to the M920 Kane. That will make things a little easier later down the line.
We have a visual on the collector ship, Commander.
Very low emissions. Passive infrared temperatures suggest most systems are offline. Thrusters are cold.
That thing is massive. How the hell did the Turians take it out?
Radar scans do not detect any hull breaches on the side facing us. I detect no Mass Effect field distortions. It appears the drive core is offline.
Rendezvous in 30 seconds, Commander. Good luck.
a ship laid out like this?
Looks like a giant insect hive.
Penetrating scans have detected an access node to uplink with collector data banks. Marking location to your hardsuit computer. Shepard, I've compared the ship's EM signature to known collector profiles. It is the vessel you encountered on Horizon.
Maybe the defense towers softened it for the Turians.
The missing colonists might be aboard. If they're still alive.
These are the same containers the collectors used on Horizon. Only these are empty.
It must have been horrible. Trapped in these pods. Completely at the mercy of the collectors.
Now, we still have a lot of chatter going on at the moment, so you won't hear me talk too much for the first few minutes of this mission, but I promise that is going to change soon.
These poor souls.
Why would the collectors just leave a pile of bodies lying around?
Test subjects. Discarded at the end of the experiment.
Alright, here we have our very first morality choice of this mission, and to no one's surprise, we are going with the Paragon option. Maybe these test subjects are in fact better off dead.
There are worse things than death, like being a test subject for twisted aliens.
Is that supposed to make me feel better? Because it didn't.
Okay, that gives us the first 2 Paragon points of the mission, and we can continue down the corridor. Over in the corner here we can see a few more human bodies, before we then take a turn to the right and grab the first bit of collector technology for 7,500 credits. A bit further in the back we also have a medkit, although I have no idea how that got here, as well as a very important control terminal that we absolutely want to interact with.
That's a collector. Were they experimenting on one of their own?
Edie, I'm uploading the data from this terminal. See if you can figure out what they were up to.
Data received. Analyzing. The collectors were running baseline genetic comparisons between their species and humanity.
At this point it doesn't really matter what we say, but before we jump straight to the results, it can't hurt to ask about the reasoning behind the research.
Are they looking for similarities?
I have no hypothesis on their motivations. All I have are the preliminary results. They reveal something remarkable. A quad-strand genetic structure identical to traces collected from ancient ruins. Only one race is known to have this structure, the Protheans.
Alright, that is quite the revelation right here, and for 2 Paragon points we will state the obvious.
My god. The Protheans didn't vanish. They're just working for the Reapers now.
These are no longer Prothean, Shepard. Their genes show distinct signs of extensive genetic rewrite. The Reapers have repurposed them to suit their needs.
And yes, after learning something as surprising as this, it's probably best to make sure we're not overlooking anything.
You'd think somebody would have picked up on this.
No one has had an opportunity to study a collector genetic code in this detail. I've already matched 2,000 alleles to recorded fragments. This collector likely descends from a Prothean colony in the Styx Theta cluster. But there are signs of extreme alteration. 3 fewer chromosomes. Reduced heterochromatin structure. Elimination of superfluous junk sequences.
For 2 more Paragon points, we can now comment on the results of our investigation, and I think you'll agree when I say that ending up as genetically engineered slaves for the Reapers is not exactly something to strive for.
The Reapers didn't wipe out the Protheans. They turned them into monsters and enslaved them. Still, they're working for the Reapers now, and we have to stop them.
They're not doing to us what they did to the Protheans.
Let's find what we need before the collectors come to salvage this vessel. Move out.
Alright, now this right here is a very important point in the game, even though it doesn't really look like it. We are now presented with 3 weapons, however we can only choose one. We will not be able to find these weapons anywhere else in the game. This right here is the only point where you can obtain them. Starting at the top, we have the Revenant machine gun. This is without a doubt one of the best assault rifles in the game, and it has an insane ammo capacity, but I am personally not a fan of its rather high bullet spread, which makes it not the most accurate weapon. Alternatively, we have the Claymore heavy shotgun. Grunt is already carrying a slightly less powerful version of this weapon, and if you're a shotgun player, picking this up is definitely a good choice, as it packs quite the punch. However, we're not really using shotguns much, and on Insanity difficulty it's often a bit risky to do so, which brings me to the last option, the M98 Widow sniper rifle. This thing is a very powerful single-shot long-range annihilator and commonly accepted to be the best sniper rifle in the game. And as you may have noticed, I like sniper rifles a lot, so this is the choice we're going with, but make no mistake about it, all three of these weapons are excellent choices depending on your playstyle. Continuing down our path, we find a power cell container, which doesn't really give us much at this point, but will take the 100 credits as well as the element 0 behind it. We could now also change our weapon loadout to switch back to the other sniper rifle, but we'll stick with this one for now and see what it can do.
On the ceiling. More containers.
There must be hundreds of them. How many do you think are full?
Too many.
I detect no signs of life in the pod, Shepard. It is probable the victims inside died when the ship lost primary power.
Our journey now takes us to the second bit of collector technology. This one is worth a whopping 15,000 credits, so of course we'll grab it before moving on. And at this point it might already make sense to switch over to something with a slightly higher firing rate, and maybe also save your game. You never know what's waiting around the next corner. For the moment though, things remain quiet and we can get our hands on a nice little damage protection upgrade, the first of 2 upgrades available in this mission.
Commander, you gotta hear this. On a hunch, I asked Edie to run an analysis on this ship.
I compared the EM profile against data recorded by the original Normandy 2 years ago. They are an exact match.
The same ship dogging me for 2 years? Way beyond coincidence.
Something doesn't add up, Commander. Watch your back.
And I have to agree with Shepard and Joker here. Our presence on this particular ship is starting to look less and less like a coincidence and more like something that could go horribly wrong.
Well, I suppose we should have expected this.
They could take every human in the Terminus systems and not have enough to fill these pods.
They're going to target Earth.
Not if we stop them.
There, on the platform. A control panel.
Where are the bodies of the collector crew? Careful, Shepard. Something doesn't feel right about this.
And despite our feelings that something is not quite right, let's activate the console in front of us. After all, it is the only way to proceed.
Edie, I'm setting up a bridge between you and the collector ship. See if you can get anything useful from the databanks.
Data mine in progress, Shepard.
That can't be good.
Two more Paragon points can be obtained here for keeping a cool head, even though the sudden appearance of the Collector General makes the situation look very troubling, to say the least.
Everyone's alright, Joker. What just happened?
Major power surge. Everything went dark, but we're back up now.
I managed to divert the majority of the overload to non-critical systems. Shepard, it was not a malfunction. This was a trap.
We need a little help here, Edie.
I am having trouble maintaining connection. There's someone else in the system. Connection reestablished. I need to finish the download before I can override any systems.
Then you'd better get it done fast, Edie.
Look out. We've got company.
Alright, time for the first firefight of this mission, and this is already one of those hard ones that I mentioned earlier, so we'll need to be careful. To get started, we have 2 platforms coming in, and after landing a few potshots on the Scion, we want to focus all of our attention on the 3 collectors on the other platform. It is immensely helpful to take these 3 out as fast as possible, not only because more enemies are flying in, but also to avoid Harbinger from possessing one of them, which could create a very powerful enemy very early in the fight. Throw is a very useful ability here, by the way, as it can push enemies off the platform after the barriers are down. For a brief moment, the Scion now remains the only enemy, so we'll use our new sniper rifle to take it down, and thanks to its immense damage output, we succeed just before the next platform arrives. On this one, we will likely not be able to prevent Harbinger from spawning in, but it still makes sense to get rid of some of the weaker enemies first, just to reduce the number of guns pointed at us. It is also a very real possibility that our 2 squad members go down in this fight, but repositioning them from time to time can at least somewhat increase their odds.
If I must tear you apart, Shepard, I will.
84%.
Edie, get us out of here.
Simultaneously fighting collector firewalls in over 8,000 nodes. I am tasked to capacity.
Once again then, we only focus on the Scion as long as no other enemies are around, because over this distance it can't do that much damage, at least as long as we stay in cover. As the next platform arrives, we then take aim at the collectors again, because, just like before, if we can get rid of this group without Harbinger appearing, that would make things a lot easier. Unfortunately though, just before the last collector is thrown off the platform, it transforms and Harbinger appears once more, but at least the rest of the group is taken out already. As a result, we actually have the upper hand now. The Scion is badly hurt and our sniper rifle gives us superior firepower against a single enemy like Harbinger, so this should not be a problem. This right here, by the way, was actually the only time of about 10 attempts or so where I managed to keep both squad members alive throughout the entire fight, so Medigel should absolutely be used to get any fallen party members back up.
Shepard, you must manually re-establish my link to the command console.
With Harbinger down, we can now quickly explore the platform to find another power cell container, and we could really use some ammo, so let's grab it before heading back and using the command console to continue.
I've regained control of the platform, Shepard.
And there is no need to be rude to our AI, so let's take 2 more Paragon points with us as we thank Edie for the good work.
I knew you wouldn't let us down, Edie.
I always work at optimal capacity.
Did you get what we needed?
I found data that would help us successfully navigate the Omega-4 relay. I have also found a Turian distress call that served as the lure for this trap. The collectors were the source. It is unusual.
Well, considering how all of this looks like a very elaborate trap, it does not seem that unusual now, does it?
Seems logical to me that they would have sent the initial message as bait.
No, it is unusual because Turian emergency channels have secondary encryption. It is corrupted in the message. It is not possible that the Illusive Man would believe the distress call was genuine.
Why are you so sure?
I found the anomaly with Cerberus detection protocols. He wrote them.
He knew it was a trap? Why would he send us into a trap?
A very good question indeed, however one that we probably won't be able to answer right here, so let's keep everyone focused on the mission at hand and receive 2 more Paragon points for doing so.
We don't have time to throw blame around. We'll question him when we're out.
Cerberus is not known for keeping faith.
No, the commander's right. There must be some other explanation.
Commander, we got another problem. The collector ship is powering up.
You need to get out of there before their weapons come online. I'm not losing another Normandy.
I do not have full control of their systems. I will do what I can. Sending coordinates for shuttle extraction.
Come on, let's move.
Alright, here we are venturing deeper into the collector ship. From this point onwards, it is pretty clear that we should expect heavy resistance, so we'll keep our eyes open for any collectors flying in. Edie is nice enough to guide us through the ship and use what little control she was able to obtain, so let's grab another strangely convenient medkit before we also get our hands on the next piece of collector tech. And this area right here is also the stage of our next firefight with the collectors. In total, there are only 4 enemies to take out, and once again, doing so quickly might prevent Harbinger from appearing, which significantly reduces the length of the fight. And with a few well-timed abilities and good aim, that should not be a problem, so with this group swiftly defeated, we can proceed to the next area.
Affirmative.
Now, as you may have noticed, there was no ammo lying around, so we should be careful and keep an eye on our reserves. The ramp here leads us down, deeper into the ship, and the next room already makes it pretty clear that we are going to meet more resistance. Cover is abundantly available though, so let's get everyone into safety before we start taking out more collectors. The first wave of enemies is then actually not all that difficult, even with Harbinger in their ranks, because for now we're only dealing with a small handful of collectors. But more will soon join the fight, and until then it's a very good idea to get rid of this first group quickly. To make matters a bit more difficult, the second wave then appears in a different spot on our left flank, so we have to keep moving a bit in order to stay at least partially in cover. However, the enemies are spreading themselves fairly thin and try to approach from different angles, which is actually not a bad strategy, but of course it singles out individual targets while their companions are still moving, and that makes it a lot easier to take this group out as well. By the way, if you prefer a slightly more stationary approach for this fight, then you can also take a position a little further in the back. That way all flanks are secured and the enemies have only one way to approach. Eventually then, as we get to the end of the fight, we have a small wave of Abominations rush in. These are very similar to the Husks that we are already very familiar with, only that they explode when they get close, and needless to say, that is something that we should try to avoid. Once all collectors are defeated, we want to make our way over to the crate of power cells in the back to restock our ammunition. Over the course of this mission we have already passed 3 of those crates, so it is absolutely possible to come in here with a less than fully loaded heavy weapon, although at this point having lots of ammo, or in the case of the cane at least one shot, is very much advisable. There is also another medkit and another crate of element 0 over in the corner here, and after grabbing both of those we are ready to proceed into the next area. And we can get there by dropping down on this ledge, which makes this a point of no return, because we cannot get back up.
Going to cover!
Opening a door on the far side of the room.
As soon as we have dropped down, we immediately want to get into cover and start firing, because among the enemies here is a Praetorian. We already fought one of those on Horizon, and that one was all on its own. This one has company. 2 Husks run in, and while we are distracted with the Praetorian, they could do a lot of damage, so we won't let it come to that and take them out right away. Meanwhile, for the Praetorian, we will, surprise surprise, use the cane, preferably before the enemy has charged up its biotic barrier. Now, as you can see, the Praetorian is still alive, but its armor has been severely damaged, and unlike its barrier, it cannot recharge that. While the Praetorian is going through several cycles of its barrier recharging Deathchoir attack and thus becomes invulnerable for the time being, we can quickly take out the 2 collectors who have joined the party, and afterwards a lone Husk also gets eliminated. Once the Praetorian is ready to go again, we focus all of our fire on it, and once the barrier is then down, we need to be quick, we don't want another recharge, so let's make this final shot count. Once the fight is over, we want to collect the final crate of power cells, which will not only restore our regular ammo, but also gives us a few valuable percentage points for the M920 cane.
Edie, we've got a problem here.
A temporary setback on firewall 3217. Rerouting commands through firewall 7164. I have successfully opened a door on the opposite wall. I will keep it open as long as I can.
Down there. That's where we came aboard, isn't it?
We must be getting close to the end.
And Miranda already mentioned it, we are indeed getting closer to the end of the mission, but before we wrap things up, we can collect another piece of collector tech as well as a tech damage upgrade. This next area then marks the location of our final firefight, and we can take this one slowly, so let's duck into cover, get our squad mates out of the way, and take aim with our brand new sniper rifle. Keeping the distance is a very solid strategy for the first phase of this fight, as the collectors would otherwise be able to do a lot of damage, and because there are also 2 more Abominations who should not be allowed to get close. At least for the first part of this fight, it is also perfectly viable to keep your squad members out of the line of fire entirely, because even on Insanity difficulty, the enemies are simply too far away to be any sort of real threat. Once the first wave has been cleared out and no more enemies are visible, we can advance a bit, but carefully, as there are more enemies lurking in the shadows and advancing too far would trigger even more, something we want to avoid, at least for now. The sniper rifle also allows us to take these next two enemies out very quickly, which makes it rather unlikely for Harbinger to make an appearance. Once the coast is clear, we can call over our squad and peek around the corner to catch a glimpse of a scion, so let's shoot a few volleys at it before ducking back into cover, because stepping out here has just triggered the next wave of enemies. As you can see, they have decent cover and the high ground, and that makes it a little more difficult to land hits against them, so let's do something about that and run over to the right, from where we can flank them very nicely. At this point we only have a single collector drone left up here, but the position is useful for the next few enemies as well. As you can see, two more drones have appeared next to the Scion, and because of the range between us and them, the sniper rifle is once again the weapon of choice. Admittedly, the line of fire can be a bit obstructed at times, but the time-slowing effect of Adrenaline Rush still allows us to place our shots exactly where we need them. And that leaves only the Scion itself, and with this much space to cover, it won't be able to present any sort of challenge as long as we stay in cover. The next few shots from the sniper rifle will then be the last bullets we fire on this mission, and as the Scion goes down, we have more or less fought our way through. This area does not have any ammo crates, but our slow approach also allowed us to conserve ammunition, a good thing considering what comes next. As you can hear, and shortly after also see, we have a huge wave of Husks rushing in as a last obstacle between us and the Normandy, but we can actually avoid fighting them all together and simply run past them.
We're out of time, Commander. We have to go.
You heard the man. Everybody onto the Normandy. Move!
Strap in, people. Work for it this time. I can't dodge this guy forever, Edie. Get us the hell out of here.
Specify a destination, Mr. Burrow.
Anywhere that's not here.
Very well. Engaging Mass Effect core.
And here we are, we safely made it off the collector ship, complete this mission, and unlock the Ghost Ship achievement. We also earn 1000 experience points, enough to get us to level 17. In the mission summary, the Illusive Man calls the collected intel vital, however, knowingly sending us into a trap was a move that we will have to discuss later. Weapon-wise, we have unlocked the powerful M98 Widow sniper rifle, but as a result we won't be able to use the Claymore heavy shotgun or the Revenant machine gun in this playthrough. We also grabbed both upgrades on the ship, one for a 20% bonus to shields, barriers and armor, and another one for a 30% bonus to tech power damage. And we also receive a whopping 75,000 credits for completing the mission, as well as 500 units of Element Zero.
Call coming in from the Illusive Man, Commander. I figure you've got a few words for him, too.
Shepard, looks like Edie extracted some interesting data before the collector ship came back online.
Alright, time for our debrief with the Illusive Man, and even with the Paragon option here we can let him have it and voice our frustration with his approach.
Edie told us the distress call originated from the collectors. You betrayed us, just like I knew you would.
We're at war. The collectors are taking humans, and every minute we waste is one more we give the enemy to prepare.
I know the stakes, but we're supposed to be on the same side, and I can't trust you.
Without that information, we don't reach the Collector homeworld, and you and every other human may as well be dead. It was a trap, but I was confident in your abilities. And don't forget Edie. The Collectors couldn't have anticipated her.
Now, being confident in our abilities seems like quite the risk to take, especially considering how much time and money the Illusive Man invested in us in the first place.
You could have told me the plan. You say I'm important, but you sure try hard to get me killed.
I needed the Collectors to believe they had the upper hand. Telling you could have tipped them off in any number of ways. Besides, I wouldn't have sent you in if I didn't think you could succeed.
And once again, we can let him know how we feel about the whole deal, and get 2 more Paragon points by stating that we would have done things differently.
I don't risk people. There are always alternatives.
You may not like being on the receiving end, neither would I. But the facts are with me. As much as we try to avoid them, these decisions need to be made. But more importantly, it paid off. Edie confirmed our suspicions. The Reapers and Collector ships use an advanced identify friend-foe system that the relays recognize. All we need to do is get our hands on one of those IFFs.
And at this point, it does not really matter what we say, so let's not dwell on the fact that we just left a Collector ship, and instead simply ask what we have to do to obtain such an IFF.
I'm guessing you have a plan.
We have a science team working on a derelict Reaper right now. I need you to go and pick up its IFF.
So, he just casually mentioned a derelict Reaper, and considering how that is something that doesn't simply fall out of the sky, we might want to inquire a bit further.
Where did you find a derelict Reaper?
An Alliance science team recently determined that the Great Rift on the planet Klendigan is actually an impact crater from a mass accelerator weapon. A very old mass accelerator. I sent a team to find either the weapon or its target. They found both. The weapon was defunct, but it helped us plot the flight path of the intended target, a 37-million-year-old derelict Reaper. We found it damaged and trapped in the gravity of a brown dwarf.
Aren't brown dwarfs basically stars that didn't quite make it?
Simply put, but accurate. They're gas giants that don't quite have the masses of stars. Expect gale force winds and extremely high temperatures. The Reaper has a mass effect field that keeps it in orbit, likely an automated response to the external threats. It's stable, but I won't call it safe.
I saw what Sovereign did to the Citadel fleet. Hard to imagine anything could stop something that powerful.
This vessel is a relic from a battle waged while mammals took their first steps on Earth. There's no trace of the species that took the shot. Perhaps it was their one moment of defiance before being wiped out.
And here we now have the last chance for morality points in this conversation. Only 2 renegade points are available, but we'll make sure to grab them while letting him know how we feel one more time.
I only believe you because I doubt you'd repeat yourself so soon.
It's no less a risk, Shepard. We lost contact with Dr. Chandana's team shortly after they boarded. Initial reconnaissance revealed no clues, and it was too risky to commit more resources. But now we need that IFF. I'll forward the coordinates to Joker. In the meantime, I suggest you tell your crew I didn't risk their lives unnecessarily. It will make things easier going forward.
Edie, tell the crew to assemble. We've got a lot to talk about.
Of course, Shepard.
So the Illusive Man didn't sell us out. Could have fooled me.
Lied to us, used us, needed access to the Collector databanks. Necessary risk.
Now, despite our own disappointment regarding the Illusive Man's actions, it's probably best to follow his advice and keep morale up, so we will agree with Morden here for 2 more Paragon points.
There really wasn't any other choice. Let's just hope this IFF works.
My analysis is accurate, Shepard. I have also determined the approximate location of the Collector homeworld, based on navigational data from their vessel.
That can't be right.
Once again, our choice at this point does not really matter, so let's crack a joke at the cost of our AI. I think Edie can take it.
Better run the diagnostics, Joker. Looks like our AI's got a bug in the software.
My calculations are correct. The Collector homeworld is located within the galactic core.
Can't be. The core is just black holes and exploding suns. There are no habitable planets there.
Could be an artificial construction, space station protected by powerful mass effect fields and radiation shields.
Even the Collectors don't have that kind of technology.
Well, considering how little we know about them, I would not be too quick making such a statement, especially considering that the Collectors also only work for the Reapers.
The Collectors are just servants of our real enemy, and we've all seen what their masters are capable of. They built the mass relays on the Citadel. Who's to say they can't build a space station surrounded by black holes? No wonder nobody's ever returned from a trip through the Omega-4 mass relay.
The logical conclusion is that a small safe zone exists on the far side of the relay, a region where ships can survive. Standard relay transit protocols would not allow safe transport. Drift of several thousand kilometers is common, and would be fatal in the galactic core. The Reaper IFF must trigger the relay to use more advanced encrypted protocols.
Now, what looks like an important choice right here has once again very little meaning, but we do have at least one more dossier of another potential squad member waiting for us, so let's be a little patient, at least for now.
Just because we can follow the Collectors through the relay doesn't mean we can take them out. I don't want to go after them until I know we're ready.
Sooner or later we need that IFF. I say, why wait?
It's a derelict Reaper. What if the Collectors are waiting for us? We may want to build up our team before we take that kind of risk.
The more people we have on our side, the better our chances of success. We need to keep building up the team.
It's your call, Commander. Whatever you decide, we're with you.
Alright, here we are after a lengthy but also very rewarding mission on board of the Collector's ship. We made it out alive and now have quite a bit more intel about the Collectors, which will hopefully help us defeat them and might even weaken the Reapers in the process. On top of the morality points obtained in dialogue, we also earned 5 Paragon and 5 Renegade points for completing this mission, and I would say at this point we can wrap up today's episode. We have unlocked a new storyline mission with the investigation of that derelict Reaper ship, but I don't think we'll jump on that right away. Instead, we will probably complete a few smaller assignments first, including the occasional loyalty mission. So tune in next time to see how we proceed. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, then I would be happy if you could leave a thumbs up. If you want to support me and my channel further, then you can of course do that, either by subscribing to stay up to date, or by checking out and maybe pledging to the Pete Complete Patreon. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.